everyone, and welcome. I'm Melanie Parker, founder of Party Plan 123. Great to see you there. I can see Christine, Maria, Bethany, Kim, Lanice, Yvonne. Hello and welcome to all of our direct sales friends. It is great to have you here. Today we're going to help you as a Party Plan consultant to discover 5 secrets to success for trade shows, vendor events, any opportunity where you are having a display stand of your products at events like fairs, markets, expos. We want to help you to convert those leads and to be able to build your business through growing your team, booking more parties, and of course, increasing your sales. Welcome, I'm Melanie Parker, founder of Party Plan 123, where we love to help you to learn how to never ever run out of bookings again. Let me take a moment to show you how to get the most out of this webinar today. First of all, go ahead and share this event out with your team. We have got a share link in the messages where you can see the comments right up the top in the green there, but just send them to partyplan123.com/guest trainer, and that will take them into the replay. So share it out with your team, invite them to come along, grab a pen and notepad. You'll want to take notes for this training today. Deb's going to share a lot of information and give you useful tips that help you to create real, fast and proven results in your own direct sales business. So do take notes. We are recording this. There will be a replay available for a little bit more than 7 days. So make the most of that, share it with your team. And we love to hear from you personally. So right now, please go ahead, type in a message to say hello into the comments. Let us know where you are joining us from, which company and which country you are in right now. Share with us your excitement, your enthusiasm all the way through. Type in your questions into that same section there. We are so honored to have you here today and we can't wait to get started. And today, what an absolute pleasure. I'm so excited to introduce you to my friend, Deb Bixler, who is our guest trainer exclusive for us at Party Plan 123. Deb Bixler is the founder of the Cash Flow Show, and she has a whole website of great resources. She has a beautiful radio show. I actually had the pleasure of just recently being her guest on the radio show as well, and we are super excited to have Deb here. Now, Deb is one of the ladies who initially helped me to learn how to run my direct sales business successfully and never run out of bookings again. Deb is well known for her training, helping people to do vendor events and trade shows, and that's what we want to share with you today. So let me tell you a little bit more about Deb's background. She's actually a trained chef, and Deb left her successful 30-year career in the food service industry to build her Party Plan business model as the transition tool. And in fact, she replaced her corporate income in just 9 months. Can you believe it? And she went on to use Party Plan as her total household income, as her regular income for 7 years. Wow, wouldn't we all love to be able to do that? Now she's the leading authority for home Party Plan business training and coaching. And she works with direct sales companies, she works with leaders, she works with distributors as an advisor and a trainer. She's also well known for her speaking. She's won multiple awards such as Women of Power. She's won an award for the Direct Selling Women's Alliance in 2011 as the Speaker of the Year. And she combines her Party Plan expertise with success strategies and best business practices that she used in her corporate career. She provides services in the areas of corporate business consultancy, personal Party Plan consultant coaching services, team building, live and digitally, social media management, and much, much more. So welcome to the guest trainer webinar today for Party Plan 123. Let's give Deb Bixler a virtual round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Deb. Deb, take it away.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Melanie. I can hear you perfectly. Thank you, Melanie, for the great introduction. As Melanie said, I'm Deb Bixler, and she's right. I am a trained chef. I didn't go to school or college for business or entertainment, but I am a trained chef, and I did use my home party business to quit my full-time job. So, as Melanie mentioned, mentioned that an expo is pretty much any event that you can, in my opinion, my definition of an expo is any event that you can slap up a table and talk to strangers. And that can be expos, trade shows, craft shows, fairs. It can be a carnival, street fair, pretty much anything. And, the trade show floor is a massive venue. It is, an equalizer. And, a lot of people spend a ton of money at fairs and expos. They set up booths that get leads. There's a lot of reasons that you want to go to fairs and expos. Okay, one of the biggest questions that I get about fairs and expos is where to find them. And the problem with it is that most often they're happening already. When you go out to look for a fair or an expo, they're happening already. And so if you want to find one now, you are really looking for the future. Whether you go online and look, where you live. I live in Augusta County, Virginia, very rural environment in Augusta County, Virginia. So I'd probably search online for Augusta County vendor events, trade shows, exhibitions, things like that. So online's a great way to go. Search by your county or your city. Watch the newspaper. Believe it or not, newspapers still exist. Oftentimes, radio shows are the biggest sponsors of expos and fairs, trade shows. And of course, the local Chamber of Commerce is a sponsor as well. There's a lot of different types of trade shows. As I mentioned before, it could be yard sales. It could be things that are set up in the mall. And most often, you're going to see a trade show when it's going on and you're just like walking by. Okay, so walking by is one of the best ways you happen upon a trade show. You could also do searches for fairgrounds or expo centers, or you may have one in your area. Like here in Augusta County, we have the Augusta County Fairgrounds. Now, I happen to know that this weekend they're having the roller derby, but it's a good place to go and meet people, and you're allowed to rent a space and put up a table. So the definition of a trade show is anywhere you can go to talk to strangers. And oftentimes it's not where you think. Think outside the box. It doesn't always have to be a really expensive thing. I know that the fairgrounds also has, when I was in Pennsylvania, we had the Harrisburg Farm Show Complex. Now, they didn't just do farm stuff. They did, just all kinds of things. They had the Home Builder Show. They had all these different kinds of events. And so the expo centers are a good place to reach out to, as well as wedding planners are often the sponsors of trade shows, although the wedding planning trade shows for weddings is often a little bit pricier. I think I already mentioned the Chamber of Commerce, but one thing that people don't often think about, and this is one of my favorites, is what I call niche Chamber of Commerces. A niche Chamber of Commerce, if you think about it, almost every city has, if you're anywhere near a decent sized city, they might have a Latin American Chamber of Commerce. They might have a African American Chamber of Commerce. They could have a Women's Chamber of Commerce or Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. There's all kinds of Chamber of Commerces, and oftentimes, and even just like like the smaller towns, like the Ephrata Chamber of Commerce or the Waynesboro Chamber of Commerce. It doesn't always have to be the big cities. And so these kinds of smaller Chamber of Commerces are often planning events, and they're often much more affordable to get into them. So which ones are the best events? Haha. Your guess is as good as mine. But you know what? Here's a couple quick rules to lay out for you. One, don't pay a fortune unless you are absolutely certain that it's going to be worth it. For example, when I lived in Pennsylvania and I had a growing team, the women's show was a 2-day event at the York Fairgrounds, and it was like $900 for both days, but I would divide up the time and take my whole entire team, and some of the people on my team filled their whole calendar for the year. We always got business recruits, new sales consultants, and it was an awesome event. It was well worth $900. At the same token, I mentioned a little while ago, like the Home Builders Show. Now, who would think that the Home Builders Show was a good event for you, right? But it turned out to be one of the best events ever. And that I ever took my team to. And the reason for that was because there's nothing there for the spouses to do. The Home Builders Show was all about building. And one time I went, the best way to find out which event is best for you is to go as a guest and network with the vendors. Because when I went to the Home Builders Show as a guest and networked with the vendors, I found out that there was one other booth there. I think it was Mary Kay or Avon. It was a cosmetic booth that appealed to all the women, and there was thousands of people around that booth. And so, I decided, well, hey, there's a great market here, right? And we got a booth every year after that, and it was $1,200 for a 3-day event, but it was one of the best events there were. So one of the best ways to figure out if an event is good for you is to go as a guest. So don't pay a fortune unless you know and have done your research. Don't give food away, because when you're giving food away, people are wanting that free food. It's really hard to qualify people when you're giving away free food. And some events require free food. And, like the beer and wine show or the Hershey Chocolate Fest. Now that one might be an exception to the rule because everybody loves chocolate, right? But if an event requires you to give away free food, the focus is not on networking. The focusing is on free food. And when you're giving away something like free food, everybody that comes up to your booth wants their piece of chocolate or their whatever it is you're giving. And it's really hard to qualify people. And it's really important. Like, would you like to come home with 100 leads in your pocket? Or and then you don't know who to call, you don't know who's a good lead, or do you want to come home with 10 or 12 who are actually waiting for you to call them, and if you don't call them, they're going to call you, right? So that's what we're going to teach you here as we go along. So no events that require free food. Now, what I do is recommend that every distributor, every person, go to 2 vendor events every single month.
That sounds great, Deb.
Once as a guest. Yeah, it is. And
Toya was asking the question, how much should we be spending on these events as an approximate guide?
Well, and there is no answer to that question. I wish I had one for you, but here's the deal. Once you start going to vendor events twice a month, once as a guest and once as a vendor, the reason you're going as a guest is multiple faceted. There's a lot of reasons why you want to go as a guest. And the main one is to scope out the scene and to determine if it's a good event for your business, your product line, and your team. And so by going as a guest, like I said, the women's show cost $900 and the Home Builders Show cost like $1,200, and it was well worth it, every penny of it. And yet I've been to vendor shows where I spent $30 and it wasn't worth it. And so really it's a matter of doing your research, asking the right questions, and making sure that you're going to events that are going to pay off. And so when you go as a guest and network with the vendors, you're going to learn if it's going to pay off next year. So then once you start going as a guest, you will, and you see, oh, this would be a good event. First of all, you go in, you walk around, you network with the vendors, and you practice the 10-second rule. Share for 10 seconds or less and end it in a question. Let them do most of the talking because you're a lead, you're the guest, they're the vendor. And so you let them do most of the talking. You let them do their spiel, their pitch. And when the moment arises, but you always practice the 10-second rule. Share for 10 seconds or less and end it in a question. When you network with the vendors and then you get a moment in time, a pause, and it's like, oh, hey, is this a good event for you? Is this worth your time to be here? And there 2 things are going to happen. One is they're going to ask you what your business is. So now the table's been turned. And 2, they'll probably tell you it's a crummy event or it's a great event. But when you do that, you go to the event as a guest. You walk around, you look at all the people in the room, you learn about the guests, you learn about the other vendors. And once you start doing that every single month, I call it a big impact habit, something that you do every single month, no matter what. It's so easy to go as a guest. It costs $2-3. You go in, you practice your networking skills. You're going to get so good at networking, right? You're going to learn about all these vendor events and you're going to start to get on the lists. And you can always make up in numbers what you lack in skill. And vendor events as a guest or vendor events as a vendor give you those skills because there's so many opportunities for you to practice asking. And so when you go as a guest, you're going to determine if it's worth your while to go next year and you get on the list. Once you start getting on those lists, people are going to start calling you and say, hey, this is, Southwestern School District, and we're having a Teachers in Service Day, and we need 10 vendors. I was wondering if you'd like to come and set up a booth for the afternoon. We're going to have 800 teachers coming through, and it's going to be free, and it's going to be a great use of your time. And so a lot of times going as a guest opens up networking opportunities. You learn about the event for the future, so you know if it's worth $30 or $100 or even $1,000. And you make new friends, you make new business collaborations, and you develop your skills. So going every single month as a guest makes you a better vendor when you go once a month as a vendor. So Toya's question about the price, I don't know. What's the best price? I don't have an answer for that. Whatever, as long as you're getting the results, you didn't pay too much, right? But if you didn't pay anything, and you stood there all day and didn't get a single lead, then you paid too much because your time is worth more than money, right? Do we have another question, Melanie?
Deb, that's all the questions coming in at the moment. We've got Teresa saying she usually spends $35 to $40, and Chris is usually saying around $20. So I'll let you keep on going, Deb.
Okay. On the next slide, we're going to talk about your booth setup. Very good. And, the most important thing is professionalism. You're not there to win the awards because, and hopefully if you work your booth and you engage with your audience, we're going to teach you how to do. And this is something that as an educator in Pennsylvania, the Chamber of Commerce had me educate all their vendors before every single event. So this is something that not just direct sellers do. This is something that all professional vendors, it's a system of qualifying leads and getting results at vendor events. So even if you can't afford the great big, you're going to see some places they got, like they probably spent $1,000 on balloons, right? They got balloon columns and everything, or they invested a designer, or they bought them backdrop things. All you have to do is look professional and act professional. It doesn't have to be fancy. So I strongly recommend you're going to go once a month as a vendor and you're going to go once a month as a guest. So I strongly recommend you invest in a skirt and a tablecloth with an overlay. Now the overlays, the color is coordinated with the different booths, but the skirt and the tablecloth should be white. Now a lot of times people are going to say now that they're going to provide you a skirt and a tablecloth. Then you get there and it's one of them flimsy little plastic things, right? It's like useless, right? You want to look professional, better than everybody else. If you get there and everybody else, and they have beautiful velvet tablecloths or nice burgundy skirts and everybody's, got the same one, that's a different story. But you want to be prepared to look great. Now, when I bought mine, it was $110 for a skirt that went around an 8-foot table. That's like, 3 feet by 8 foot by 3 feet. You don't need one in the back, and the clips, we didn't use clips, we used pins. It was like $110, but it's my understanding that you can buy them a lot cheaper now, like online, and even a box linen where it's like a big square, so you just drop it right over the table. But even if it does cost $100, it's well worth the investment because it's setting you up to be a professional. Your booth should be simple, seasonal, and adjusted for the event. So if it I always go out, if it's fall, go out and buy some mums. It's a business expense, and then I plant them in the yard, right? Might as well, right? And so whatever, when you're booking your party, your events, ask them, What's your color scheme? What are you providing us? You know, we're going to talk in a little bit about we have a extensive, because we're not going to be able to cover everything today. We have an extensive training on trade shows and vendor events. And, you know, there's no way we can cover it all here. And I forgot what I was going to tell you. Where there's more detail in the videos that come with the trade show product that we'll talk about in a little while. So go ahead, Melanie. Let's raise it. Go to the next slide. All right. So you want to set your booth up with multiple heights. Now, it's very simple to do. Like I said, if you have a white skirt and tablecloth, and then you can just bring even anything to make color. You can be pillowcases, it can be blankets, whatever matches the scheme of things. We can do better than that. We don't need to be see, when people are at vendor events, thank you. When people are at vendor events, they're on audio overload. And so you got to keep your table simple. You want to have space. You don't want to have thousands of dollars invested in balloons and backdrops. You don't want to have every single thing in your product line on the table. You want to display some products, preferably ones that stay put. You know, there's certain products that disappear easily, right? But you want to have space on your table. I go to vendor events all the time, and usually as a guest, because my ideal customer is you guys. My ideal customer is the vendor, the people in the room. So I found now that I'm not raising a team, now that I'm not growing my own direct sales team, I found that I do better by going as a guest, because my ideal client is you who have a booth there. But I've seen vendors, especially direct sellers, when you walk up to the table and you look at their table, it's like, oh my word. It's like every single thing on the catalog's on the table. Don't do that. All right. Next slide. Couple other things that you can do at your vendor event is make sure that you have a sign on the backdrop. I would get one of them really big vinyl signs that you can buy, 40, 50 bucks. But my experience is that the biggest mistake direct sellers make, other than having their entire product on the table, is not having it visible from the other side of the room what their product is. Or me, as a direct sales expert, walk up to the table and I'm standing there like, what company is this anyway? You know, you gotta be visible so that the people who know you say, oh, there's my fantastic company, I'm getting over there. Or, my fantastic company, I wonder what they do. Your sign has got to be there, visible from people who are on the other side of the crowd. All right, so when you get to your vendor event, now, we talked at the beginning about vendor events. It could be anything. It could be a street carnival. It could be a yard sale. It could be the basement of the fireman's carnival. But so I'm using terminology that relates to kind of your classic pipe and drape vendor event. But every single thing we're talking about applies to every vendor event, the yard sale, the street fair, everything. And when you get to a vendor event, whether it's a street fair, a carnival in the basement of the fire hall, vendor event, or a pipe and drape thing, when you get there, your table's all the way in the back, right? All the way in the back with some chairs. You need to bring that table up to within 3 feet of the walkway. If it's a street carnival, within 3 feet of the edge of the sidewalk, or whatever the case may be. There's always a walkway. It might not be like a tiled walkway or a carpeted walkway, but there's always a walkway. And you need to be 3 feet behind the walkway with your table. And your table should be clean and clutter-free. You're going to stand in front of your table, not behind it. And you are going to have a skirt. No matter what anybody else is doing, you're going to have a skirt. We'll go ahead and keep it clutter-free. We'll go ahead and your goal is to win the award for being the most engaged booth, not the most fancy decorated booth. Okay. So as soon as you get there, pull that table up, get rid of the chairs, gone, out of there. All right. Make sure that now there might be exceptions. Okay. I mean, I had a lady on my team who had childhood polio, I believe it was. And so, yeah, she needed a chair. Okay. There's exceptions to everything. But generally speaking, if you want to engage your guests, you're not sitting down. Once you're done with this trade show training, you're going to go to a trade show as a guest and you're going to see what people are doing. You're going to see the people sitting behind their table reading the newspaper. You're going to see the people who leave the booth empty, right? and go away, right? So you're going to become the best engaged trade show attender, vendor there is when you're finished with this training. So your purses, your clutter, your sandwiches, your water bottle, it's hidden. Right? When you set up your booth properly, and you're standing in front of the table now, don't have product boxes in the front of the table either. Unpack them and put them in the back. And I think I started to say before, it's easy to create. I'm here. So I think Brenda said I think people can hear me, Melanie. But, the boxes that you bring your product in make great usage of creating height. It's not like you have to bring special props to create height. You might bring some seasonal props like plants and decorations and things like that. But the boxes that you bring your products in can be on the table and your overlays go on top of them. Never, ever, ever leave your booth unattended. I mean, it's like the biggest waste of money that you could possibly do is to leave your booth unattended, because you're at work and you got to understand that. And you're there to work, and having the conscientious work attitude is what's going to bring you the results that you want. The attendees are your guests. It's kind of like, I come from a restaurant background, and I think when you're in a restaurant background, you have a whole different mentality about serving. Direct sales, actually the word sales literally means to serve. It comes from a Scandinavian word, and it literally has a root meaning of to serve. And in the restaurant business, we always are, it's pounded in you. It's pounded in you. The service, it's all about service. And today service is lacking. And when you can get that frame of mind that you're there to serve people, you're not there to get them to do business with you. You're not there to get bookings or get recruits. You're there to serve the needs of the customers and sort them out and figure out who needs what you have to offer. So let's take a couple questions here. Let me see here. I don't know there's a lot of them. All right. So I got to lean in close here. A skirt on the table or tablecloth that goes to the floor. Well, either way, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you have a tablecloth, if you have a box skirt, this is all restaurant talk. Okay. A tablecloth and a skirt, two things. But then there's a way that caterers do things, and I'm pretty sure that you can buy these online. It's called a box skirt. So it's just like you'd never be able to lay it out flat, if you're trying to iron it or something, because what happens is it goes straight over an 8-foot table, right? The problem with something like that is you might have a 6-foot table, you might have an 8-foot table, you might have a round table. That's why I like to get an 8-foot long tablecloth flat and a skirt that'll cover 3 sides of an 8-foot table, because then you can cover any kind of table with that. And you don't buy the clips because different tables have different dimensions. So you just get those pins at craft stores that have a bead on top. And so it doesn't matter what kind of table. So there's no real answer to that, whatever works for you. But if it's just a tablecloth that's too big for a table and it's going down to the floor, it's not going to look good. How many products should you have? Well, what products you take depends on what you want to do is create the products that create desire. Take the products that create desire. And so, what products are most popular? I would have, and if it's collections, everybody's product line's differently. So, a collection or a certain product, take the popular products that create desire for bookings, opportunity, joining your business opportunity, but also for sales. You're not there to book, buy, or sell. But if you're not going to get leads. A lead is the beginning of the relationship. That's what you're looking for, is the lead. All right. And so take a certain product. If you have a certain item that, you know, you hardly ever sell full price, but people book parties because they want to get it, that I would take that. And then, you know, there's no real answer on how many products, but you want to make sure you have space on the table. You know, I used to, you know, I'm a chef, so you probably can guess I sold, you know, kitchen stuff. And so, you know, you take a piece of the cookware and take a piece of the, you know, the other collection, and then small things that go in between, like people always wanted to buy that, and just create a little display that's pleasing. And then you have catalogs with you, old catalogs. Always take old catalogs, because like I said, there's thousands of people there, and you want to make sure that everybody that walks away from your booth has your phone number. But you don't want to give out all those new catalogs. It could be old catalogs, it could be product flyers, but every single thing must have your name, web address, and phone number, and email maybe, permanently affixed, not paper clipped, not stapled, permanently affixed, whether you use a sticker or a self-inking stamp, permanent. The shelf life of a catalog is lifetime. And if you use old catalogs when you give them out. You might have 5 or 6 new catalogs handy, and when you hand one out to someone that you've qualified, and hopefully we're going to have enough time to get to that portion of this event, when you qualify leads and you say to them, this is a brand new catalog, don't tell anybody, but you're special. I usually give everybody else old catalogs. I'll call you tomorrow to see what you need, or I'll call you tomorrow to firm up our date. In other words, if you have someone that's qualified, that's who you give a whole catalog to. And I don't know whose question that was. Why white? Well, white because everybody else, every event has a different color. If your tablecloth is burgundy, what if their color scheme is orange? You know, you can't have every color tablecloth. If you have a white tablecloth and a white skirt, you can have every color overlay, because all you have to do is pull out a different blanket or pillow, and now you got to overlay. So $15 to $25 is what Yvonne normally pays. That's irrelevant. You can pay more than that, because like big events are really worth it. You get into a couple of really big events and you know they work, they will keep your team, your entire team, solid forever. Well, here's Melanie back.
Okay, so Deb, I've just opened up the thank you gift. So I will give everyone instructions on how to find it, and then you are more than welcome to talk them through it. Okay, so for everyone, to find Deb's thank you gift, there is a special offer and a thank you gift. But what I have done is opened it up in your offer tab. So where you are seeing the chat roll and the comments scrolling by, you'll see there's a big bright yellow sign that says free gift and special offer. And then underneath the yellow sign, there's an orange button that says click here for Deb's free gift. You can click on that and it will open up a second window in your screen. And Deb's going to give you instructions on how to exactly find it on that page. But I've also put that link into the chat roll. So the green message that's at the top of the chat, you can open that link there. And it's also in the comments. So Deb, I'm going to hand over to you and let you talk about the thank you gift, and I'll bring the slides back up for you as well.
So Melanie put the link for the thank you gift there. And I wanted to talk briefly about, you know, the trade show training product that we have, the special offer. It's at the same link. Now, anybody that decides to invest in the trade show training will get the thank you gift automatically. The thank you gift is the Golden Book of Scripts. And, you know, I found a long time ago, I did a little survey, and it's like, what do you need? What do you need? We need the exact words. We need to know what to say, what to do. And so someone planted the seed in my mind, you should create a book called the Golden Book of Scripts. And that's what I did. It has an audio recording in it included about how to use the scripts. And so it's a PDF document with scripts for recruiting, and scripts for host coaching, and scripts for sharing the business opportunity, and scripts for everything you can think of.
Do make the most of Deb's thank you gift there. That is a very kind offer. Thank you, Deb, for sharing that with us. To find that, you will see that there's a link showing up in the comments that you can just click on. You can also see the bright yellow sign that's showing up in the offer tab, and you can press on the little orange button below that and it will open a separate page. Or you can just go to vendortips.com if you're only listening to this and you can't see those comments, and that will take you to the same page. But to find that thank you gift, what you need to do is open up that special offer page, scroll down to the bottom, and then you're going to see a section in purple where you can enter your name and your email address, and that's to get your free gift as a kind offer from Deb. While you're there, I do also encourage you to make the most of Deb's special offer, which we will share a little bit more with you about that later on.
That's the thank you gift. And everybody that decides to invest in the trade show training, the trade show training is on the same page, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I've bundled together 2 products on the Cash Flow Show that both for the price of one. In other words, the 21st Century Guide to Host Coaching is something that I've recently reworked. You know, wouldn't it be great if every event, every live event or every online event was $1,000 party? Wouldn't it be great if every one-on-one event had 2 people at it? I mean, think about it. I think that host coaching is something that's often overlooked these days in the 21st century. And I had a host coaching product on the Cash Flow Show website. It was a 40-minute audio, and I decided to redo it. And when I started redoing it, instead of being a 40-minute audio, it turned into a 4-hour training because I couldn't stop myself. I mean, when you think about it, we do so many different kind of parties. We have live parties, we have Facebook parties, we have virtual events. I know people that do Zoom meetings. You have fundraising events, you have one-on-one events, 1+2 events. Well, even do free workshops to educate people, right? And then you get leads because you're offering yourself as an educational speaker, right? Every one of those events has a hostess, and every one of those events should be host coached in a 3-contact system. That doesn't mean you have to call them every single time. It means that you contact them and reach out to them 3 times. And if you do that, or when you do that, I should say, every one-on-one event's going to be 2. Every fundraiser event is going to have massive sales. You know, a fundraiser event isn't supposed to be a whole bunch of people from the church showing up at your party and buying things. It's supposed to be every single parishioner going out and getting $300 worth of orders from their neighbors and then showing up at the event. That's the kind of information that the 21st Century Guide to Host Coaching includes. And so we'll talk more about the trade show training, but at that page link, and actually on the next slide, vendortips.com will take you to the exact same page. Just remember that, vendortips.com. And the thank you gifts there, the trade show trainings there, which is what we're talking about today, only much, much more, as well as host coaching, all bundled together. And it's basically becomes more than half price by the time we put these 2 products together. So let's see what else Melanie has in store for us on the next few slides, right? Okay. Oh, there. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you. How's our time schedule? Ooh. Well, we did kind of get off to a slow start, didn't we? Never have more than 2 in the booth, unless maybe one of them's a trainee. But honestly, 2 in a booth, because when you have 3 in the booth, the guests that are milling around, are threatened. It's overwhelming. They think they're going to get trapped. So you don't want to have more than 2 in the booth. And you know what? Going to vendor events is a great way to train your team. This is why I think you should go every single month. You should be training your team there. So going to vendor events is a great way to train your team. It's a great way to make sure your whole team has leads. It's a great way to overcome. It's a recruiting tool, because when you are able to, when someone says, oh, I don't know, I don't know if my friends and family will support me. It's like, you know what? I was worried about the same thing myself. But what I found is there's plenty of business out there. As a matter of fact, we're going to a vendor event next month. Can you come on the 2nd? And you can stand right next to me and I'll teach you how to network with strangers and fill your calendar. It becomes a recruiting tool, a booking tool, and a way to find leads. Leads are the beginning of all your relationships. And so, you know, those bigger events, the Women's Show, the Builder Show, these big events that are a couple days long, you should be bringing your whole team. You should create a culture that craves vendor events because they're going to keep your business solid and make sure that you promote. So, but don't put more than 2 people in a booth at a time. You got to set up a schedule. You want to have a prize drawing, but you don't want it up front. You don't want people to run in and put their prize drawing slip in without you talking to them. They should be invited to put the prize drawing slip in. We're going to talk about that in a minute. When you're in your booth, you don't eat, you don't drink, you don't sit down, you don't read the paper, you don't hang out with your hands in your pocket. You are there to work. So on the next slide, we're going to teach you how to start engaging people. We've already talked about, because that's what we're here for. We're here to qualify leads, right? We want to qualify leads. You're not coming to the fair expecting to schedule a lot of shows on the spot. Now, you know, it might happen. It might happen. But our purpose at the vendor event is to find new business, potential hosts, potential consultants. A lead is the beginning of the relationship. Look it up in the dictionary. A lead, the beginning of a relationship, the beginning of a river, the opening part of a story. There's all kinds of little beginning things. A clue, right? A lead is a clue. And so your job is to go for friendship because it takes a lot of pressure off them and a lot of pressure off you. But you're not there to sell, book, buy, recruit, or close deals. Might happen, so be prepared, right? But don't expect it. Scheduling shows, signing consultants, and selling product takes time. When you're engaged in closing deals, you might be letting the best lead walk right past. So you want to plan on closing the deal in follow-up. Don't spend too much time with any one guest. And that's where your old catalogs come in. You know, we're going to talk about engaging your guests. But if you realize that one's not a good lead, thank you very much for stopping. Here's a catalog. Call me if you need anything. Sweep them away. I call that sweeping them away, right? But don't let anybody walk away without your name and phone number in some form, whether it's a mini catalog or whatever. And it's a great way to sweep them away. So we're there working. Your job at the vendor event is to network with the guests and also to network, of course, with other vendors. And that's where if you have 2 or 3 people, you can rotate people through and go out and network with the vendor. Always keep your booth stocked with participants, staffed. And, you know, if you have a trainee there, work with her, help her, but then go out. You go out and network and then watch her from a distance. Let them work together. But your mission is prospecting for good leads, not sitting around waiting for them to come to you. Okay. So as people approach the booth, in other words, you're standing in front of your table, behind the line, not behind the line, on the line. In other words, when you pull your there's barriers all over the place. When you pull your table forward, you've broken a barrier. When you stand in front of the table, you've broken a barrier. When you stand on the line, you've broken a barrier. As they approach on the walkway, even if it's not a pipe and drape environment, they're approaching and you can look down the way and catch them in the eye. You have 16 seconds to engage your guest before they're walking past. And so it's your job to qualify the guest as they walk by in that 16-second period, which means that you have to engage them before they pass. So you want to be prepared with a simple statement or question which you're comfortable saying that's going to stop them or at least get them to pause. So as they approach, you look them in the eye. If they immediately look away, they just qualified themselves right away out. You don't care. If they look in you in the eye and you smile and they smile back, they've qualified themselves the second step. And then by now they're within earshot, and you say, have you ever heard of My Fantastic Company? Or are you familiar with My Fantastic Company? Or if you have a really popular company that everybody heard of, then you say, have you ever been to a My Fantastic Company show? In other words, you have a simple question that you ask. You look them in the eye as they approach, you smile at them, and you ask their question. That's the 16 seconds you have. And when they answer and pause, yes or no, you immediately ask them a question that requires a bit more information. And so it could be like if you said, are you familiar with My Fantastic Company? And they said no. It's like, oh, well, what kind of skincare products do you use? Or oh, well, we provide natural skincare products. What kind of products do you use? You know, you need to be prepared with a second question that's going to require them to think. And then if they pause, you're prepared with your second question. The first question is a yes or no answer. The second question requires them to think. And at that point, you have 30 seconds to become their friend. Now, if they won't pause or they don't pause, then they're not a qualified lead. You want to be prepared with your couple of questions that require them to think. So if they said, yes, I am familiar with My Fantastic Company, then it's like, oh, cool. When was the last time you were at a show? Or, wow, cool. What's your favorite product? In other words, you're going to have to get them to think. So they've just qualified themselves out. So once they stop to answer that question, you offer them the invitation to enter your prize drawing slip. We can be on the next slide now. The 16 seconds is when they're walking, and then if they pause, now they've qualified themselves to a point. And basically, you want to continue to talk with them. So you hand them the prize drawing slip, and don't use the prize drawing slip as a form of engagement. It's not like, do you want to fill out a prize drawing? It's, what's your favorite product would be the next one. And with a series of 2 or 3 questions, it's your job to determine if they're interested in learning more while they're filling out the prize drawing slip. These are the details. The details are the information that you gather after they've chosen to stop and talk to you and get more information. Once they've come in, maybe they don't come in, you're standing on the line, but you give them the prize drawing slip and you continue to converse with them in such a way that you're seeking out friendship. Like they might be filling out the prize drawing slip, and like in my case, that maybe the daughter's there, I'd say, what's your name? And maybe I'd say, is your mommy a good cook? You go for friendship and have this little engaging conversation of any topic that relates. You're not going to say, do you want to have a party? You're not going for the close. Your goal is to have a conversation. And if they say, yeah, I love the products, and then you say, oh, cool, what's your favorite product? And then they start, I don't know. And it's like you put the prize drawing slip in their hand. It's like you have them on itty bitty clipboards with pencils and string and maybe a feather or a flower or something. And that you give them these itty bitty clipboards with the prize drawing slips. And while they're filling it, would you like to win some free products? You don't say, do you want to enter my prize drawing? Because that means that you're going to contact them. You say, would you like to win some free products? And you put it in their hands and they start to fill it out. And some of them are going to say, not if I have to have a party. It's like, we don't care, just fill it out. And some people, by the time if you go for friendship, by the time they finish filling out that prize drawing, they will have checked yes or maybe. But it's really important to take the prize drawing slip out of their hands. And so you can go to the next slide, Melanie. You've got, 1 to 2 minutes for this engaging period of time that you're talking to them about the kids, or about what kind of skincare products they have, or what kind of problems they have with their skincare, or how much fun it was at their last party that they were at, or or whatever. It's if you act like you're going to try to get them to have a party or get them to buy something or, sign them up, they're going to be resistant. But if you go for friendship and act like a friend, you're going to develop a friendship. They're going to fill out their prize drawing slip, and you're going to learn a lot about them. You might learn that they're getting married, and you have the ability to service them for their, you have the ability to service them for a bridal shower. The conversation is more 10 seconds or less and end it in a question, okay? And in the end, you're going to sweep them away because you don't want to spend too much time on one lead. You want to learn as much as you can about them, how you can serve their needs, and sweep them away. And hopefully they'll win, right? And then you immediately, and if they're finished with the prize drawing slip before you sweep them away, you're still talking, you immediately take the prize drawing slip out of their hand and you write down everything you learned about them. They have 3 kids. They love a specific product. They're getting married. She's a teacher. She was at a party last month and she hated the consultant. Whatever it is, you write it down and then you sweep them away. Here's a catalog. I'll call you when I'll call you when you win the drawing, right? All right. And immediately, as soon as they walk away, you code them. Green, definitely call. Yellow, not a great lead. Call after you call all the greens, or maybe you could use a couple of yellows to one, and red, throw them away before you leave the vendor event. Unless they gave you, some reason to call them, they're a red lead. They're absolutely a red lead. You don't need a ton of leads of people calling people who aren't interested in you. The next slide is appropriate at this point. Melanie, red, yellow, green, red, yellow, green. When you qualify the leads and fold them up and put a G, Y, or R on the outside of them, when you go home, you'll be able to sort them out. Red, yellow, green, and right away you'll know exactly who to call. Exactly who to call. And if you don't follow up within 48 hours, you've wasted your time. Totally wasted your time. I suggest offering a prize to everybody. One thing I want to bring up, and then we're going to be able to probably get questions here, and that is that, what was I going to say? When you call them back, you have 15 seconds to remind them that you're their friend. And the point here is that even if you have to leave a message on the answering machine, you need to remind them that you're their friend so that next time they talk to you. So you want to act like a friend. Did you and Lisa have a good time at the women's show? I really enjoyed it. Did you get to see the fashion show? In other words, use the things that you wrote down. I know your husband was getting pretty bored. Did you get a chance to see that booth that we were talking about on the other side of the room? Act like a friend. And so before you start making your calls and you're going to call all the greens, you're going to call anybody that you're going to call, yellows or greens, within 48 hours. Because if you don't, you might as well just throw them in the trash. So when you speak to them, be prepared with your rapport building information to establish a bond before you offer whatever it is that you were supposed to be calling them for. If they were interested in the opportunity, or they said they might like to have a party, or even if they said they had an item they needed fixed, or a customer service issue, you have 15 seconds to bond with them. And so I recommend that you make a script, a voicemail, write out your voicemail message based on your notes before you make the call. And that way, if they would happen to answer, you've already decided what you're going to say and you have your rapport building information organized. And if they don't answer, you put it on their answering machine and tell them you're going to call them back, because then next time they see your number, they will pick up. So, the next slide I put in there because it's an example of something that is included in the host coaching. And you know what? This is so simple, but yet so many people are so impressed with this. When I had these made, when I'm sure that Melanie will catch up with us in a minute, get stickers made and put them on all your catalogs. Look inside, and when you like what you see, gather 6 orders and get something free. Now, your company might be different. Like my company, I think 6 orders was a submittable show. But, from the point of view of host coaching, this is host coaching. The host that isn't a host yet. In other words, when you put this on every single catalog that you own, front, back, and inside, and so they're going to be on there for all your old catalogs, all your new catalogs, at your home parties, everywhere. Look inside, and when you like what you see, gather 6 orders and get something free. I had those made at current.com. They're just address labels. Don't expect to go find them there. You have to format them yourself. But I bought them by the case and sold them to my team. But this is example of the kind of expanded information that we talk about in the host coaching program. And, as I mentioned about vendortips.com is the URL that'll take you to the thank you page as well as to our special offer today. And the secret to trade shows, everything, there's too much information to present in an hour presentation. And you got a lot. I'm going to go through and answer the questions too, but and you don't need it. This information will be available for you after the event. So don't rush over there now. Stay here and pay attention. But we do want you to go there and get your thank you gift. And for those of you who decide to, next slide, Melanie, decide to invest in the secrets to trade shows, it's a great tool for your team. You have 6 months access to a private studio on the Cash Flow Show. And it's 2 videos, 2-hour-long videos, not quite an hour, but 2 videos covering the content that we talked about tonight. And it's about how to find, we've talked about a lot of it, how to find the right event, how to figure out if the price is worth it, more about the booth setup, more about the qualifying of leads and custom scripts for follow-up, and how to get those return calls, right? I just put together a series of articles on my blog about the phone. Like, why don't people want to use their phone calling, the calling feature on their phone anymore? When you connect with people, like, how would it be if you were just reading all this and I wasn't talking? Think about it. I could text this whole seminar to you, right? I could set it up and automate it to you. But does that work? No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for your hostesses either. So, the trade shows training series is guaranteed to keep your calendar solid. But the beauty of it is that once you have it, you have 6 months access, but you can download the forms and the audio. That's the most important part. You can download the audio of the training and share that with your team. Once it's downloaded, it's yours to keep forever. And the host coaching program is for the 21st century. As I said, it covers everything. How would you like to have the sales average twice your company average? That's what happens when you coach your host properly.
Yes, party plan 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, I do encourage each and every one of you to say yes to that generous offer that Deb has there today. It's secrets to trade shows. It's only $57. You've got awesome bonuses there with the hostess coaching, with the Club Zoom bonus as well. So go to vendortips.com if you cannot click on one of those buttons that is showing up in the offer tab or the comments tab, and that is the easiest way to get in there. That is in US dollars, and it is a nice and easy option. Now I'm just going to quickly flick through some of these slides here that Deb had for the last couple of screen shares. 7 types of people that you meet when you exhibit at a trade show. If you want to know more about this, connect with Deb on her website or her Facebook page. Ask her some more questions about this one, and I know that Deb would be only too happy to share. In fact, there is Deb's information on the screen there right now.
And so the thank you gift is there as well. It teaches you, if you're always wondering what to say next, how to turn a casual conversation into a lead, it's all party plan specific scripts. But what I want to do is I want to offer you a special bonus. We have a club over at the Cash Flow Show where, you know, when you join the club, we're going to get to that slide. When you join the club, we have Club Zoom. In other words, for those of you who decide to invest in this program, now all those things added together, when you go to vendortips.com, it's only $57. You get it all. But Club Zoom is basically an implementation club. The Club Zoom is implementation. So for those of you who do invest in the vendor training today, over the next 24 hours, let's do it that way, because I'm in US and you guys are in, or let's say today over the next 24 hours, we'll go for that. Club Zoom is a Zoom meeting where we all log in and I help you implement. So anything that you get from me by any of these programs and you have questions, then we log in as a Zoom meeting once a month for the next 3 months. And that's for those of you who decide to invest over the next 24 hours only.
So thank you very much for taking your time to be here with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm Melanie Parker, founder of Party Plan 123. Thank you so much to Deb Bixler for being here from the Cash Flow Show. Everybody give Deb a big round of applause and a thank you for investing her time and her energy for being here. We promise that we will keep helping you with tips and strategies, simple solutions to help you to never ever run out of bookings again. We will see you next time. Bye.